What is up, guys? Wrestling Premiere is here. This video is a long time coming. Same could be said for a bunch of them. So I was working on this video about 4 months ago on a different computer, and since a part of the script was bad, I figured why not make it from scratch. John Cena was on the rise. It was a rapid rise to the top, and nobody was going to stop him. A little freestyle on the bus saved his career and opened up a hell of a lot of opportunities. Cena shined with his unorthodox raps and tired look, and as I said in multiple videos, it was perfect for that time period. Obviously, if you look at it now, some of it looks weird, but John Cena is doing well inside and outside the ring, with this Pro Wrestling Torch report saying Cena is well liked backstage. So, of course, when you look at his rising popularity, the fact that he was reliable as well, it makes sense to give him the United States Championship. So, enough talk, let's get into it. Alright, the year was 2004. John Cena just turned face and was already one of the most popular wrestlers on SmackDown. His character wasn't much different as he was as a heel, and what I mean by that is that he still had heel tendencies. He still tried cheating to win. He insulted baby faces and wasn't anything like that John Cena would main event shows years later. The clean underdog. His promos were still very controversial and more raw than his later freestyles, and I believe they cut back on them due to the whole Timberlake-Janet Jackson incident. They had to be presentable for TV. This is something Cena said in an interview as well. The United States Champion at this point was The Big Show. The title was essentially a shoulder warmer for Big Show because he almost never defended the title on SmackDown or pay-per-views. On the February 19, 2004 episode of SmackDown, the Doctor of Thugonomics came out and freestyled about The Big Show. He's talking about hairy nipples or whatever, and Cena mentioned how he, The Big Show, never beat him at No Way Out. So it's simple, he wanted a match at WrestleMania 20 for the United States title. Big Show was smiling because he was going to get that WrestleMania payday, I assume, and Big Show accepted. However, he warned him saying that it's his funeral. And whether he could see him or not, the result's going to remain the same. Cena threatened to walk his pumps up his ass, and it sounds just random writing it and saying it as well. The WrestleMania match proved to be a very huge milestone in Cena's career. He of course went on to win many titles, but there was nothing like the first one. Nearly 100% of the fans were cheering him, and it was his first ever WrestleMania. The Doctor came out donning a Patrick Ewing jersey, representing New York, and he freestyled about the Big Show, calling him all kinds of things. And with regards to the match, it's not anything special. Big Show took control, bounced him around before Cena begins his comeback, and at one point, he even managed to hit the FU, but Big Show kicked out. So he did some trickery. He fooled the ref and blasted Big Show with the knucks. Crowd stands up on its feet going bananas, and John Cena hits the FU to become the new United States Champion. Truly a very iconic moment in John's career. First title, first WrestleMania. Awesome. Later that week on SmackDown, the champ defended the gold. Before the match, he talked about Boston and his childhood, and because SmackDown was in the city, Beantown was more than positive towards the hometown native. He also poked fun at the Yankees, and of course that's what gets him the best reaction. To top it all off, he said, "I'm like the big dick, nobody can finish me." I don't know how he used to get away with this stuff, but he did. Suddenly, Paul Heyman's music played, the GM of SmackDown, I should know, and he told Cena that with Lesnar's departure, there's an opportunity for him to become the new face of SmackDown. Then again, he could get drafted to Raw, and Heyman basically was desperately trying to instill fear into John Cena. He refused to be belittled or disrespected, and hell, he even called Cena a piece of Boston crab before slapping him. He wanted him gone, but the GM ended up taking an ass-kicking. Rhino took advantage of this drama to get the match started. Cena was struggling to counter any of this offense, but once he began fighting back, it was over for the challenger. It's a very quick matchup, and I don't think it even lasted 3 minutes. Rhino ended up going to Raw, whereas Cena moved into a feud with a certain French phenom. On the March 25th, 2004 episode of SmackDown, John Cena welcomed Rene Dupree to SmackDown. Cena even began poking fun at Dupree, saying France sucks. He told him to choke on these nuts, and what does France have to do with anything? Anyways, those two wouldn't cross paths for a month. I wouldn't mention what John Cena was up to, but it's anything but interesting. The champ would start the feud by saving Tori Wilson from an attack. A few minutes later, Dupree ran in and cost him a handicap match against the Guerreros, and in light of Tori Wilson indirectly almost killing Kurt Angle, he booked her in a match with Rene Dupree. John Cena saw enough and retaliated, and he managed to send the French phenom running. A few minutes later, he's whining about John Cena to Kurt Angle, who I should mention had an issue with the US champion. He was claiming that rap music contributes to the hatred within society, and someone held him responsible for the whole Big Show thing. And since he hated him so much, he booked the US title match between Rene Dupree and John Cena for Judgment Day. The Frenchman still continued stalking Tori the following week, leading to Cena once again coming to her aid. This clearly didn't go his way because Dupree capitalized on the distracted champ. Fans chanted his name, but Dupree was persistent on the attack, and he beat him from turnbuckle to the announce table, which of course was the conclusion of the attack because Dupree sent him through the table. About this whole incident, Rene Dupree has zero remorse. He threw insults towards the US. It was regular foreign heel stuff, but then he said he'll treat John Cena like America treats those Iraqi prisoners. Not the best build-up. It felt pretty dull to me, and it just doesn't stand out at all. Their match at Judgment Day, it wasn't bad. It just wasn't special or anything like that. Both men weren't exactly lighting the world on fire with their in-ring skills at the time, but it wasn't bad. For those two, it was a decent performance. Alright. Cena came out donning a James Worthy jersey and did a little rap. As expected, he was damn over and even got bonus points from the fans mentioning the Spurs taking an L to the Lakers. He said that Fifi left something on Renee's head, but before he could finish, the challenger interrupted. In the beginning, Cena sent Renee running. Dupree took a beating for a while before unethically going for the eyes and pulling that shoulder into the post. This of course led to him taking control, and the US champion never got back into it properly because Rene Dupree was a step ahead. Cena was worn down, taking a hell of a lot of punishment, but then he finds his form. He messes up the 5-knuckle shuffle, which is weird to see, and there's back and forth action from both men. Rene hit this neck breaker that almost gave him the victory, and after a brace of backslides and a huge error from Dupree, Cena hit the FU and got the 1, 2, 3. So kayfabe wise, Dupree put up a fight. He pushed Cena to the limit and only screwed up because of, at face value, a minor error that shouldn't have occurred. The match itself is not something you should go out of your way to watch unless you really like this iteration of John Cena's or are a fan of Dupree. Because it's for sure one of his most notable matches in WWE. But their next match on SmackDown later that week, wow, I just didn't like it and I felt it was pretty damn dull. But it's a title match, so you know what's up. Once again, Dupree went after the shoulder leading to the heel, forcing the babyface to work from under. He tirelessly worked on that arm, even if it was boring to the viewers. And Cena did show that champion spirit and beat Dupree around the ringside area, and even found time to tear the French flag. And behind the ref, Dupree low-blowed him and did what I do in SVR 2007 challenge mode when the match is very hard, and that's win by count. It was pretty damn boring watching it, and also meant that there was going to be yet another match. This time, though, I feel they made up for it with the Lumberjack group. At the same time, John Cena suggested an idea to the board of directors regarding the Great American Bash, and it was about giving the troops free viewing of the pay-per-view. Kurt Angle complained about this because he was claiming it was his idea in the beginning, and he couldn't understand how Cena was champion, and straight up said that he'll be proud that a Frenchman is champion. Angle promised to be at ringside because Cena's US title run is over. Also, the SmackDown roster wasn't exactly stacked at the time. There's just too many lower card guys, and they were so desperate at this point that they even had Teddy Long as a Lumberjack, and he's not even a wrestler. Angle had the best scene in the house, and with regards to the match, the Lumberjacks made their presence felt. Rico kissed Dupree, Luther Reigns assaulted Cena, and after the commercial break, it was the challenger who was in the driver's seat. The champion couldn't figure it out. In the moment where he came very close to breaking through, Booker T pulled down the rope. He got thrown out again, and this time around, Booker T gave him a beating. He absolutely despised him, but for all the hatred and damage he did, Renee did nothing because when John Cena began his comeback, it was all but over. This left both Booker and Angle raging hard, and what this also meant was no more forgettable Renee Dupree and John Cena matches. Two of their matches weren't bad, but they were very basic. They were all the same. On the June 3rd, 2004 episode of SmackDown, John Cena interrupted Booker T's promo about The Undertaker. He called him out over last week and wanted to know what's up. Booker said, oh, it's just business, but he went into a whole other direction and called Cena a Booker T wannabe. And so Cena mocked him with that deep voice, said he'd been eating off ashtrays. He clearly got offended, but Cena finished this imitation with the famous Booker T face. He said that it's like he pooped his pants, and apparently that's why he does the spin Rudy. Booker was frustrated with this whole thing, but before it could go down, the SmackDown GM put a stop to this. Apparently he refused to have Cena jeopardize the main event because Booker T was set to face The Undertaker, and as expected, Cena reacted the way he did and provoked Angle. So Booker T attacked. Cena fights back and doesn't help himself because he tripped right onto Kurt Angle, and to make matters worse, Booker T accidentally blasted the GM in the leg. He threw a fist similar to 2002 Christian, whining about how he's a handicap and was hell-bent on stripping him of the title. He also claimed that he was going to snitch to the board of directors. You see, Angle had already detested Cena in the past, but this was a good excuse to get the title off of him. The following week, the general manager wanted an apology from both men. Booker followed through, claiming he couldn't sleep for 3 days after that incident, but John Cena, though, he was ready to do a rap, but Angle raged. He was raging like Cena was the one who took his hair or something. The champ didn't like Angle's tone at all and was ready to continue where he left off, but the GM knew what to say. He asked if Cena was going to hit a cripple, and the GM revealed that Cena was on probation, meaning if it touches Kurt, the title's gone. Now, the problem with Kurt's approach was that he asked Cena not only to apologize for last week, but for who he is. He apologized for nothing, and Angle was on edge. Because it was damn near impossible to get an actual apology out of him, Kurt Angle booked John Cena in 3 different matches. The first man who beats him gets a title shot at the Bash. 5-minute time limit as well. Booker T failed to score the W, and Rob Van Dam followed up. Van Dam was actually accomplishing something, but Booker got involved, and so Angle whined about it. RVD was much closer to the W than Booker, but failed as well. Then Rene Dupree was next, and while he was a huge problem, Cena got to the very end. Dupree demanded 5 more minutes, and Angle obliged. But it was all for nothing because John Cena beat him a few seconds later. The GM claimed the victory was not official before Booker T made a run-in. Van Dam makes a save and Angle has an idea. He decided, you know, I'm going to put you in a fatal 4-way match with the Great American Bash. Drama ensues between the babyfaces, and Angle was looking like me on Friday nights back in 2007. From here, Cena continued pissing off Angle and provoking him, pushing his buttons, almost touching him, but at the same time, he had some problems of his own. You see, The Undertaker was under the control of Paul Heyman. It's a weird-ass storyline, and he just so happened to bump into John Cena. In light of this, he bravely called out the dead man. He didn't give a damn and just wanted an explanation. Instead, Kurt Angle came out with a smile on his face. Unlike the other weeks, he was actually joyous. Why? Because after Cena claimed that he, Kurt, wanted to be like him, he pondered about this and came up with a little rap. Cena threatened to make him leave town like T-Mac if he screws up. Nice touch. And the little rap was about Cena losing the gold. The best part was when Angle said he'll be a bigger loser than the Orlando Magic, and even said that he's going to rest in peace tonight because he's going to go one-on-one with The Undertaker. So this is where Teddy Long stole it from. Now about this match, it was huge. Cena may have never been at the highest level at this point in terms of star power, but he was still one of the biggest stars on SmackDown at the time, and this was one of the best TV matches of 2004. The reason why is because Cena rose to the occasion. It was Taker's first great match since his return, and John put in a very main event-like performance. He got to hang with a big dog, and kayfabe-wise, he brought the fight. He stood his ground with The Undertaker and had him beat, as weird as they may sound. The ref was down, of course. And the oddest thing was the fact that Taker had to cheat to win, although he had him beat a few seconds earlier as well. Even though he took the L, Cena's stock increased for certain. It was an awesome matchup that I suggest you watch at least once, and yes, it's my match of the video. Like, nothing could touch it from this title run, and this was non-titled. If only the same could be said for the Fatal 4-Way at the Bash, because it was pretty damn forgettable. Cena came out in a Michael Vick jersey and did a little rap. With regards to the match, well, let's talk about it. First of all, it was elimination rules, I should note. Add to that, 2 men stood on the outside for a while. They eventually entered and it turned into a normal matchup. RVD was the first man eliminated. Booker and Dupree tried isolating Cena, but their egos got the best of them. Cena made a comeback, hit the FU on Dupree, and Booker capitalizes with a scissors kick. He eliminates Dupree before going after the champ. Cena had to fight with every fiber of his being in order to bounce back, and even then Booker T was a step ahead until he missed a scissors kick because Cena caught him and hit the FU to retain the title. It's not a bad match at all, it just fails to stand out. That's what I'm saying. Now, even though Booker T took the L, he still wasn't out of the fight. On the July 8, 2004 episode of SmackDown, John Cena was set to defend the title against him. The match was set for the top of the hour. I assume Makenzo Suzuki came out and attacked the champ. The reason why is because Cena roasted him a week earlier. I didn't mention it because it didn't add much to the video, but Cena got rid of him, and Luther Reigns ran in and hit the Reign of Terror. Due to this, the match was postponed to the end of the night. Booker T, meanwhile, thought it was a shame that Cena got attacked. Why? Because he's going to use that as an excuse if he loses. Booker said that he's better than Cena as a star, a wrestler, and he's better. About the match itself, John Cena never got going in the beginning because Angle provided a distraction. The champ managed to figure things out, but once he got thrown over the top rope, Kurt blasted him with a crutch. After the commercial break, the challenger was all over John Cena. Booker was in total control, and even when he found those openings to break out, they were quickly shut down. Things were looking quite dire, but a crossbody steered Cena in the right direction. Then he knocked Booker over the top rope. Angle was playing mascot. He shot in for Booker to get him, and before he knew it, he received a clothesline. Luther Reigns took a shot, and back in the ring, Cena hit the FU, and it was looking like he was going to win this match, but Reigns caused the DQ and hit a power slam. Angle was seething, and he demanded Luther bring him the belt and reminded John of the whole probation thing. He's like, I, Kurt Angle, hereby strip you of the United States Championship, and thus, July 8th, 2004 marked the end of the title reign. Now, on the topic of the match itself, it wasn't bad or anything like that, it's just forgettable once again, like a bunch of the matches from this title reign. But yes, Angle stripped John Cena of the gold, and that's the run. Personally, it's not really that memorable. I don't know if this is a hot take or not, but let me just explain why. The most memorable moments for me are the WrestleMania 20 match and the Undertaker match. Other than that, there wasn't much that stood out from this title reign, in my opinion. Barring, of course, Angle stripping him of the gold. That's how I feel about it. Cena was doing great character work, he was over with the fans, he was rapidly improving. My favorite match, of course, is the Undertaker and John Cena match from June 24, 2004. Watch that match if you haven't, it's one of the very best TV matches from that year. And the Fatal 4-Way probably comes in second. I will definitely talk about the Booker T and John Cena feud in a future video. We'll talk about the best of 7, if those matches were good or not. And I'm just wondering, like, what U.S. title reign you guys want me to talk about next? You guys want something from WCW, Lex Luger, Sting, or something from WWE, there's a bunch of title reigns we could talk about. So, yeah. What did you guys think of John Cena's first U.S. title reign? Please comment down below, and that's your first video. Make sure you hit the 5-knuckle shuffle on the like button and perhaps the FU on the subscribe button. Peace. I'm out.